Private school.
It's 6 p.m. We'll call the meeting order. Start the pledge of
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Could you have a roll call, please, Marie?
Mrs. Rail? Here. Mrs. Hett? Here. Mr. Bembo?
Here.
Mrs. Lee? Here. Mr. Davis?
Here.
Mrs. Medina? Here. Mr. Cranes?
Here. Thank you, Marie. We'll start with the student representative report. Drake, welcome back.
Good to be back. Let's see. The football team's been doing extremely well. They've won most of their games except Friday, which they lost by 1 point against Berkeley.
Heartbreaker.
So close. The girls' swim team, they got 4th overall. That's about 11 other teams in Appleton on Friday. They set a new meet record in the 100 meter relay and got first place in that event. They're holding auditions for the fall show, which I believe is October 15th to the 16th. 2 of the 3 plays have been written, were previous advanced drama students from Lincoln High School, and then the third one is a Shakespeare. And then the other clubs and organizations are still getting ready because school just started. We're getting ready for homecoming, which is I'm really excited for. We got like things such as Powder Puff, Powder Buff, the game against Nina.
What is the powder buff?
Powder Buff is the senior and junior boys play against each other in volleyball.
Okay.
We have Spear Week, Mail Palms, and the dance. And oh wait, one more thing. I forgot about that. We have a speaker today and another one at 7 o'clock. They talked about what teamwork is and how to be a better teammate on and off the field.
Thank you for the report. Welcome back. We can move on to the minutes.
Okay, I would make a motion to approve the regular Board of Education meeting minutes of August 8th and the special Board of Education meeting closed minutes of September 6th.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the regular Board of Education meeting minutes of August 8th, 2016, and the special Board of Education closed session minutes of September 6th, 2016. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Minutes are approved. We'll move on to comments from citizens. Do we have anything tonight, Rick?
No.
Okay.
John, if I could make a public service announcement for referees. The WIAA, and I came tonight, I refereed a game before I came to our meeting because if I wouldn't have been there, they wouldn't have been able to play. So I was able to go there and still get to my meeting tonight, which was great. But if you're a college student or anybody that's interested, a high school senior, and you're interested in getting the referees, or if you've done the sport or coached the sport in the past and you don't want to coach anymore, but you still want to give back to the sport, they need referees badly. I mean, if you talk to any AD in the state, soccer right now is extremely tight. Basketball is getting tight as the referees that are getting older and retiring, there aren't more retiring than more younger refs coming in. So if you have any interest, a college student can make pretty decent money. I know several students up at Point that do it and make pretty decent money. But if you have any interest at all, get hold of WIA, and basically if you're a student, you pay nothing as far as fees to get certified to referee. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm guessing they could also contact the athletic director or
any athletic director, any coach.
Somebody can direct them.
Yep.
Okay, thank you, John. We'll move on to committee reports. We'll start with business services. Larry.
We met on September 6th. There was no public comment. We had one agenda approval, and anyone want that held out? Then I would move that the motion that the cooperative group 6603.01 cooperative agreements for students attending the virtual program from school districts as listed be recommended for approval.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve BS1. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I'd just like to note that there's 28 students coming in to the virtual program with this motion.
Yes, very good. We then reviewed some purchases. The first one is for Hawkins Ash CPA for audit services, atomic learning for staff training, and the Rapids Police Liaison Services, and for cameras and purchased at East Junior High. Then we had one for the camera system installation at East Junior High. Phil, you have any comments on any of those?
Just, I can give the whole quick update. The cameras are being installed as we see here today, so I would anticipate that we're ready to roll by the end of the week. Full installation should be done.
We had a discussion on camera use and its weaknesses and strengths, and we didn't have many cameras at the junior high or at Rams.
We don't have any. We do not have any cameras here or Rams. There are none currently at Rams, and there are some here now, but there were no currently before.
So we're looking to see if they make a difference. Ed Allison showed us a update on the utility usages, and we went into some discussion on which was cheapest and what the future will hold, and when prices go up higher than inflation, what are we supposed to do? And whether cost-saving things are available to us. Basically, I think we came away with an understanding that it's under good hands, and he's planning ahead well to do the best that he can. So if there are no other questions, I would move that the minutes be approved of the September 6th meeting.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the committee meeting minutes for Business Service Committee meeting of September 6th, 2016. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries, minutes are approved.
John,
We
we
had
have 2 more minutes to
We
approve.
had a couple of closed sessions that we would like approved. These were regarding transportation negotiations. First one is August 8th. Can we do these together?
Yep.
Yep.
I would move that August 8th, 2016, and the 24th be both approved as
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the closed session Business Service Committee meeting minutes of August 8th and August 24th, 2016. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries, those minutes are approved. Thank you, Larry. Next, we will move on to personnel.
Personnel Services met last Tuesday on September 6th, and at that meeting, we had no public comment.
No consent agenda.
And from that meeting, we have 7 consent agenda items, and they are as follows. The committee recommends I move to approve the 10 professional staff appointments and the 25 support staff appointments and the 1 non-represented certified staff appointment. You want to second that? And then secondly, the committee recommends and I move to approve the 1 professional staff resignation and the 7 support staff resignations. And I would like the resignation ones held out for consent agenda item. You want to do those before we do all the policies? Sure.
Okay, we have a second? Oh, sure, I have that one held up. Okay, so, motion and second to approve PS1. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. Would you like
PS2. I just want a vote on
Okay.
PS2.
Can I ask, was there liquidated damages on the
Yes,
professional
they haven't
staff?
paid.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, there's a motion and second to approve PS2. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed?
Aye.
I'm sorry, I did not catch who first and second in that motion.
Sandy, made the motion, was
Yeah.
there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Sorry, I thought there was.
Close enough.
Do you need to have another vote then, Maureen, or is that okay?
No, so you were the only person that voted no. That's fine, thank you.
Okay, and then we had 4 policies that are up for a second reading, and they are Board Policy 132, Board Member Resignation or Vacancy. This is for a second reading. It's just how if you're going to resign, how you go about it, putting it in writing. PS4, the committee recommends, and I move to approve board policy 133, filling board vacancies, and that was like 2 pages of all new things coming from Walsby and how you go about filling a vacancy. PS5, the committee recommends, and I move to approve board policy 321, school calendar, and this is just saying we're not doing days, we're doing so many hours at each level of education. And 6, the committee recommends, and I move to delete board policy 322, that's talking about number of school days.
I got 2.
Take your pick.
Or you, Ann.
Okay, we have motion and second to approve PS 3 through 6. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And finally, the committee recommends that I move to approve the wage rate of $11 per hour for school district athletic event staff effective at the start of the 2016-17 school year. Any questions on that?
What was it?
Brian?
John, I can speak to that a little bit. With our changeover in our athletic director staffing this year, and the fact that we've had some differences in pay rates at the different grade levels, the AD staff, along with our secondary administration, they had some conversations with Dan, and we had some follow-up conversations to that about coming to a standardized wage rate for athletic event staff workers. As best as we're able to determine from reviewing past practice, it looks like at the time that we went through our restructuring and we had some changeover in athletics, how we ran at the middle school level and junior high level, we had a different wage rate put in place for junior high and middle level athletics, which was different and at a higher rate than what we were paying high school level athletic event workers. So reviewing what they were at, the high school level was an $8 an hour rate, and the junior middle high level varied. Supervision staff in some cases were $14 an hour. Scorers, clock workers, things like that were making $15 an hour, in some cases $20, by event, by game or per event, $15 an event or $20 a game. And so to standardize things, we wanted to go with an $11 per hour, 6-12 athletics. This too, I would echo similar to what you mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, John, as we continue to struggle to attract people to take tickets, sell tickets, run the clock, and work those events for us at all levels. And we're just hoping, trying to streamline this and standardize things is going to help in that cause to try to get our employees and to work these events.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion and second to approve PS 7. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And with that, I move that the minutes from the September 6th committee meeting be approved as printed. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and second to approve the committee meeting minutes of the Personnel Services Committee meeting of September 6th, 2016. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Minutes are approved. Thank you, Sandy. Move on to educational services. Dan.
Thanks, John. Our meeting was also held last Tuesday, September 6th, and we had no public comment either. Our first actionable, we had 2 consent agenda items. Does anyone care to have either one of those held up? Okay. Our first one was about board policy 345.5 concerning graduation requirements for first reading. Kathy Stebbins-Hintz reviewed the need for changes to policy 345.5 graduation requirements. Language to include the high school civics exam requirement as set out in Wisconsin Act 55 and amended by Wisconsin Act 212 have been added. And the second item was about the parent representative on the Council for Instructional Improvement. And Kathy explained that the CII committee has 3 parent representatives who serve 3-year rotating terms. This year, there were 11 parents who requested applications to serve in the 1 open parent position on the CII. Approximately half the applications were returned. The candidate selected has children of ages not represented by the other parents currently on the CII. She's also employed at Mid-State Technical College, so her knowledge of post-high school education will be an asset. So the committee recommends, and I move that we approve the changes to the board policy 345.5, graduation requirements as set out in attachment A for first reading, and also to approve the recommendation of Leanne Turner to serve as the CII parent representative during the 2016-17, 17-18, and 18-19 school years.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve ES1 and ES2. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried.
The committee recommends, and I move that we accept the minutes of the Educational Services Committee meeting of September 6th.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from the Educational Services Committee meeting of September 6, 2016. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Is this correct that it was a 3-minute meeting?
Yep.
Yes.
You missed it.
Wow.
Okay, so those minutes are approved. Thank you, Ann. We can move on to agenda referrals and information requests. Does anybody have anything? Okay, we can move on to the legislative agenda. John, what do you have for us this morning?
Well, I got a couple things. I'm sure Ryan is knee-deep in the new DPI emergency staffing rules and what goes on with that. DPI has come up with some sort of fix to try to get staffing for the teacher shortages that just about every school district is experiencing. I don't know if you wanted to add anything on that as far as does it help us at all, or is it?
I guess I would add, John, that for regular hired staff at this point in time, not an immediate impact, I think. We're going to see the impact that has moving forward. One thing in particular that we're still waiting to hear more information about and how this will work is flexibility with currently licensed teachers in specific subject areas, being able to take tests to add additional endorsements to teach in other areas. That's something that we'll be really interested in finding out how expansive that possibly can be and what those examinations may look like. Beyond that, the new flexibilities with the regular licensed teachers, I would also add that one part to that has extended the number of days that a long-term sub without the proper endorsement can cover a classroom. It's moved from 20 days to 45 days. So as we struggle to fill classrooms for teachers who have to be gone for extended medical leaves, for example, that will be very helpful to us as well with these new roles.
Thank you, Ryan. The next thing we did have, there's a big headline, governor says top priority budget priority was more dollars for K through 12. Said click on details, there's absolutely no details. So who knows what that's going to be. ACT scores dropped, which some people were alarmed, but basically it's no surprise because when you have everybody taking the test, your scores are going to drop because you just have everybody involved, so you have a bigger pool.
If you compare us to the states that also administer it to everybody, I think we're 4th in the nation.
Sounds right.
Yeah. So, I mean, but
Yeah.
people were alarmed that they were all over the news was hitting it, that the ACT scores dropped, but they didn't report the last part, that when you have everybody taking it, of course you're going to have a different variation of scores. The newest thing here is the Assembly Republicans unveil an agenda for 2017 and 18, which this one I just scratched my head over. The Representative Voss is saying that they're very strongly looking at attention to a plan to provide a tablet or a laptop computer to every high school freshman in the state, regardless of their income or whether they attend a public, private, or charter school. So I don't understand how we can be supporting using public money for private schools to get every freshman a laptop.
But I think I read somewhere where he doesn't know where the money's coming from.
Well, yeah, and he doesn't. And then he said, to another initiative to allow students without internet access at home to check out portable Wi-Fi hotspots from their school. Another idea raised in the plan is to begin providing Wi-Fi capabilities on school buses. I don't know where any of this money is coming from. Speaker Voss did not provide any details on how the program would be funded or whether schools or districts that already provide devices to students would receive some allowance or reimbursement under the plan. According to the DPI, there are 70,000 freshmen in Wisconsin high schools this year. So I'm not sure where that's going. There's technology grants available to rural districts, which doesn't really affect us. So that is that. And then there is a new BadgerNet contract that makes the state a leader in providing affordable broadband to schools. So it says the BadgerNet, state's high-speed internet pipeline, which serves schools in all 72 counties, while substantially reducing costs, saving the state about $8 million a year. The contract will also connect additional schools through the state to the network. So I think that's good news because I know they were talking about disbanding it at one time and privatizing it. So other than that, there's a lot of talk but very little details, which I'm sure is probably going to fall right into the election year. So that's all I got.
Thank you for reporting that. We can move on to the bills.
Okay, I would make a motion that the receipts be noted and the bills be paid as printed.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second that receipts be noted and bills paid as printed. Could we please have roll call, Marie?
Mrs. Medina?
Yes.
Mr. Krings?
Yes.
Mrs. Rael?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Head?
Yes.
Mrs. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Bembo?
Yes.
Thank you, Maureen. Next, we can move on to new business. Item 8, possible action on employee appointment, resignation, and retirement.
We do have a recommendation for one appointment. Just part of said I did hand a sheet around with a list of individuals that were recommending for appointment to a nursing position in the district. I would like to note that from the Personnel Service Committee minutes that we handed out, and Mrs. Set went over earlier, we did have a nursing position appointment in those minutes as well. We are bringing forward an increase in nursing staff as part of this recommendation, this additional recommendation. We are looking to staff a total of 4 nurses within the district. Once the 2 recent hires are able to begin, the 4th position we're looking at being more of a special needs school nurse. Our increasing cases of special needs, high medically fragile students in our schools, we do feel the need to have a 4th nurse. So the staffing model that we're looking at implementing is similar to what we had previously with 3 school nurses, 1 each at our 3 main larger secondary buildings, and then distributing responsibility to the remaining buildings. We're looking to continue with that model, having one of the new hires take on the middle school building as their main assignment, and then the 4th individual being staffed at Woodside, taking on the Woodside regular building responsibilities, but then being housed primarily there because we have a higher concentration of the high special needs kids. Glenn is working on what the final assignment would look like on the People Services Department, because that special needs nurse would also have responsibilities caring for high needs students in other buildings in the district outside of just Woodside. But I did want to note that with these 2 different names, it's part of a staffing plan to be at 4 total school nurses in the district.
If we had unfortunate circumstances of a swine flu epidemic or similar things, would our nurses handle such details in that, or would the public health care system do that?
Public health.
Health Department will take that over, yeah. I would make a motion to approve the following non-representative certified staff appointment for the school nurse as presented.
Second.
Okay, we have motion and second to approve the non-representative certified staff as listed. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We can move on to item B, possible action to approve 66.030 agreements for students to attend the district virtual program.
We do have some more developments since the Business Services Committee meeting last week. However, the couple of students that we're looking at are agreements for students to go out of the district. I've been in communication with the administrative staff in Nakusa, and we have 2 students that we're bringing forward a recommendation to agree to a 1-year 6603 agreement for 2 resident Wisconsin Rapids resident students to attend virtual programming in Nakusa. The one is a student that was doing so last year. You may recall that we did have one resident student that we agreed to attend virtual programming in Nakusa a year ago. That student would like to again, and we have been proceeding with Nakusa on a 1-year non-renewing contract, so we need to renew those annually. The second student is a Wisconsin Rapids resident student that has been attending Nakusa schools on an open enrollment for regular brick and mortar programming. That student has been attending Nakusa for multiple years. That student now would like to do virtual programming with them. So we have to go through an agreement. So the communication that I've had with the administrative staff has been of the nature of continuing to have an agreement to have, you are all aware that we've had fewer examples of 6603 agreements between WRPS and Nakusa schools. This is one that we would recommend approving, as it falls in line with the type of limited exceptions that in both directions we've got an agreement on putting through. So I'll take it. If there are any questions, I'll take them. But it would be 2 students, a first grade student and a 5th grade student.
Then I'd make a motion to approve the recommendation for the 2 students to attend the Nakusa District virtual program under a 66.03 agreement from our district as presented.
Second.
Okay, we have motion and second to approve 66.030 agreements for 2 students to attend the virtual program in Nakusa. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
I'd just like to say that, to be noted, the 66.03 agreement, we do get some credit for that student. If they open enroll, we do not get any credit, correct?
No, we do.
Oh, we do get credit for open enroll? Okay, I didn't know that. So,
Okay, we move on item C, discussion and possible action to approve resolution authorizing temporary borrowing.
You have a resolution there to authorize temporary borrowing. We've been doing this for about 5 to 6 years. The amount will not exceed $5 million. In fact, it would probably be closer to $3 million, just a little under $29 million. Doing it, the legal firm we were working with in the past, the attorney has retired, and so this is a different process we're going through this year. And we would join a consortium of districts that are going out to short-term borrowing. So we have to comply by the group's timelines. And so there's going to be an ongoing process now. And then it'll finally come to fruition 3rd of October.
Dan's been watching that group, and the last 2 years, for sure anyway,
Right.
they've gotten either an equal or a lesser bid, a lower bid than what we've done. So he felt it was a good idea to join that group.
I would
More
move.
buying power.
I would move to approve a resolution authorizing temporary borrowing in an amount not to exceed $5 million pursuant to Section 67, Parent 8, Parent A1, Wisconsin statutes. Issuance of tax and revenue anticipation promissory notes, what a mouthful, and participation in the PMA levy and aid anticipation notes program. Did you get all that?
second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve a resolution authorizing temporary borrowing in an amount not to exceed $5 million pursuant to sections 67, parents 8 and A1 of the Wisconsin statutes, issuance of tax and revenue anticipation promissory notes, and participation in the PMA levy and aid anticipation notes program.
He reads better than I do. You read better than I do.
This is about half of what we usually did, right? We usually did 10 million.
Yes.
Right.
The amount We went from 10 million, we're down to 5.2, now it's going to be, might be just under 3.
And the rationale behind it is we only get our state money when we get our state money.
Yes.
It's to
We
help.
don't get our state money until after the school year's over. In fact, we get a big chunk in the middle of June, but teachers will have paid, already left for the summer.
It's basically a meat payroll.
Cash.
It's basically what?
Cash.
It's a cash flow to meet payroll before we get the money from the state. We normally did it later, but because of this group, we're have to do it earlier. So.
Okay, could we have roll call, please, Maureen?
Mr. Kranz?
Yes.
Mrs. Head?
Yes.
Mrs. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Bembo?
Yes.
Mrs. Medina?
Yes.
Mrs. Rayon?
Yes.
Thank you, Maureen. Now we can move on to item D, the discussion and possible action to approve the installation of a new outdoor sign at Lincoln High School.
Ron?
Do they have pictures or?
Oh, the lights already out.
Well, good evening.
We've been sitting in the dark.
This is to look at installation of a digital sign at Lincoln High School. With the passing of Dr. Latch, Jackie is here. The memorial money much of the memorial money that was raised, that people donated towards in memory of Dr. Latch. Jackie approached, as well as the rest of the family, approached us about installing a digital sign at Lincoln High School in his memory.
Did you turn it on?
I gotta hit the remote. I don't have the remote, so
It's in the,
don't know where the remote is.
it's right there, right here.
I can see it.
I'll pitch it.
So I'll be honest with you, Jackie's worked pretty tirelessly over this over the last 2 months, trying to move us forward in this endeavor. We have spent a lot of time speaking with a variety of individuals. But one thing we have realized is that for the city, Lincoln High School is really divided into 2 plots of land. One is being from really the south student parking lot to the expressway. So that entire area is one really plot of land. And then the second plot of land is Lincoln High School, really Southwood County Fields, down towards the hockey rink. And there's a certain amount of signage that we can have through the city on your plot of land. And already with our current sign, which is the WR Lincoln High School, as well as our PAC sign, we're already over what is allowed for an individual. So anything we do, we have to work with the city to request a variance to do that. So we've been very cognizant of trying to work with those constraints and knowing what a sign would be, as well as though that intersection isn't a great 90-degree intersection, it's at a different angle where 16th and the expressway goes, so it's like probably about 110 degrees and then 70 degrees, etc. as you go through, so trying to figure out what may be the best viewing angle. So it's been quite a project, I would say, as we've sat here looking at different designs and areas, what may maximize as well as what may occur at night. So the current WR Lincoln High School sign was put in, I believe, in the early 2000s, late 1990s, by an art teacher at that time.
You're talking the tile.
The WR Lincoln High School tiled sign in the corner. And so as we attempted to look at variances and trying to have an approval process that may be amenable to the city and the neighbors about trying to utilize that existing sign in some aspect or manner, because it's already there in that area, of trying not to put a third sign considered to be on that block, because we already have the PAC sign, this sign, and then possibly another sign. So really, we've worked with Stratford Sign Company, and I don't know why this is not showing, so we may need to turn it off and put it back up. We'll see if this works.
So is the PAC sign considered a school sign?
Yes, it is. It's part of our, yes, it's considered, it's signage on our property and our lot, so.
Okay.
So what we've attempted to do is, as I said, Jackie's done a lot of work with Stratford Sign trying to get this going, is to try to utilize the WR Lincoln High School sign on the corner, as well as just kind of bringing in a digital sign into that area. And so you'll see really in the bottom right, and I can see if it's a little large. As you kind of see where the placement of that sign may be. So you'll see there's the current WR Lincoln High School sign, and then rising kind of behind it, if you're looking at that sign, is the digital sign. Well, the digital sign, we really want to capture some of the movement on the expressway. And so it's kind of, if you're looking at the front of this sign, so we kind of put the Raiders right there to try to create that visual image to try to pull it together. Not tall enough for Red Raiders, so Raiders fitting into there. So you'll see where that sign is placed is kind of in the middle of that WR Lincoln High School. The digital sign looks like this on the top, so you'll see it keeps kind of the concrete base of the current WR Lincoln High School, and it's not on this end. Think of it now as kind of in the middle of that sign. You'll see it, 10 Lash Memorial, the WR, and then the digital sign, which would be on both sides of the sign, so it would read on both sides. You'll see the west elevation, and then at night, in the bottom left is what the sign would look like at night lit up. There is some expenses, and the family is, I don't know if I can share, Jackie, the sign approximate cost is going to be around $45,000. The family, with the memorial and the family, is going to be donating approximately $30,000 towards the project. So I guess I'm looking for some direction, approval, I guess, to move forward in that. We would have to look at the additional costs of approximately $14,000 if that's something the district would pursue further on making up that difference, if that would need to be privately fundraised. I know we're asking some student organizations also for some assistance in this endeavor if we do something along those lines. We do have to run electricity out to this area. That's approximately part of the $45,000 to run electricity out to this area. The programming of the sign actually occurs wirelessly.
You see it behind you. Behind you.
The electricity rent to it, I went to the power company, was $1,900. The following day, they returned a phone call to me and said, on behalf of Tim, they will donate the first 1,000 and only charge us $900.
Oh, awesome.
And the sign will operate digitally. And this sign also, if at some point in the future we decided that we wanted to put a digital sign out on, let's say, on top of the PAC sign on 16th, and we get the approval from the city to do that and variance to do that, they would work in conjunction with each other. So it's part of the process of putting this sign in. It would be I believe, as you said, the largest digital sign in the city, or close to what we have.
Because of the open area, that's it. I didn't want something that was more of a loss in that immense area.
We've chosen Stratford sign just primarily to work with. It's one of the family requests, and they've also done the Mid-State Technical College signage out there, so we know they're a company that works well.
They do a lot of the businesses in town.
Correct. So the Stratford sign did submit a variance to the city approximately 2 weeks ago, and they take care of that approval process to the city, and as of, I believe, conversation Jackie had, we haven't heard anything back yet from the city and when that may or may not be scheduled.
Just we know the alternate.
Yeah. Is there an alternate person?
So I guess I'm looking forward for approval, and Dr. Dickman and I have communicated directly on it, is, for approval to move forward on the sign possibly, and then what to do with a possible gap in that funding structure.
And I don't think that's something the board can act on today, but I think you can act on whether or not you approve of a sign going in the first place. Because there's no sense in pursuing further funding if you don't approve a sign going in,
Correct.
right?
Well, I just think these digital signs, they're so eye-catching, and you can do so much with them, advertising events. Hey, when's the football game? When's the basketball game? When is the play going to be held? And when you go and you see these signs that go down A Street, and the one that's up for the realtor, boy, that's really eye-catching. It stands out. So, and I'd like to say, Mrs. Lash, thank you so much for this incredibly generous donation.
Thank you, but would it be somehow worded so that we continue with this, that if you do approve it and if the funds are made available we can go on with it without having to come back to you again. Do you see what I'm saying? Number one, yes or no, we approve the sign, and if yes, it will be approved to go forward if the funds are at hand. So that we don't keep, it's not being delayed another month and then another month, and then we're in winter and we can't do it, then now we're in spring.
Is that okay, Colleen?
Well, I think you have to approve
We have to approve it and then come
You have to
back.
approve
The sign.
having a sign installed there in the first place, accept the gift of the $30,000. And you could certainly in that motion then include that, once other funds are made available, then
Project's good to go.
the project is good to go. Because we don't know where those funds are coming from, so.
So I would,
Go ahead.
I'll go ahead. I'll make a motion to approve the installation of a new outdoor sign at Lincoln High School as presented with funding from the Tim Latch Memorial Fund, and to agree that they continue to find funds and the project will basically be a go one way or the other.
Second.
With the variance from the city, correct? I mean, the city's got to say okay first.
Right.
So,
But it makes sense to have you approve it as well.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the installation of a new outdoor sign at Lincoln High School as presented, with funding from the Tim Latch Memorial Fund. And approval must be given from the city for the sign variance, and when the balance of the funding is there, the project is good to go. All those in favor? Oh, we'll do a roll call on it. Okay. Roll call, please, ma'am.
Mr. Cranes?
Yes.
Mrs. Rail?
Yes.
Mrs. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Excited, yes.
Mrs. Medina?
Yes.
Mr. Bembo?
yes.
Mrs. Head?
Yes.
Thank you, Marie. And thanks again, Mrs. Latch.
Yes, thank
Looking
you.
forward to seeing the sign. It's going to be beautiful.
Good way to
And I'd just like to add that Mr. Latch was a principal at Lincoln, and he was also a superintendent of our school district at one time. So he was very involved with education, and I wasn't in the high school when he was principal, but my wife was.
It's just another way his legacy
Yes.
lives on, so thank you.
If I could tell one story, I've been around quite a while. I remember when Tim unfortunately left us to go to Madison, and I asked, I won't give the name, but I asked someone about 6 months later, well, how are things going in high school with Tim gone? And they said, well, we're just fine. She said, well, there's, it's different now. She said, yeah, but Tim, we would die for Tim. If he asked us to do something, we would die to get it done. I thought that was a nice way to explain the difference that he made. I've seen a lot of people come and go, and Tim knew how to be encouraging. We'd have meetings, long meetings, and I got several notes from him that said, I just remember, Larry, how your eyes supported me. And I kept them because they're the kind of notes that a person remembers.
Thank you, Larry. Okay, we can move on to item E, consideration and possible approval of a resolution to be submitted to the U.S. Department of Education Office of Civil Rights to address an OCR complaint.
Okay. So we received a complaint some time ago regarding our website and accessibility. It was an anonymous complaint. We were not given specifics. On pushing the issue, we were able to get a couple of things. For example, we had one video on our website that didn't have closed captioning. We've taken care of that. We have a 504 coordinator, and that is somebody who provides a special plan for a particular student if they have a specific need. That was not clearly identified as to who that was. You had to search a couple of places to find that, so we've taken care of that. Apparently, the OCR is being inundated with complaints exactly like this one, and in fact, the verbiage is the same. I don't know who's putting these out there, but it's somebody's charge to make sure that we all have accessible websites. And we don't have a problem with that. When we changed the look of our website a couple of years ago, at that time, Phil purchased some software that crawls through our website, specifically looking for accessibility issues. And when I say accessibility issues, I mean for anybody who, for example, is maybe physically disabled, has a visual impairment of sorts, or maybe has a hearing issue. Anyway, we get a weekly report and between Phil's department and CISA 6, with whom we contract with them for the website. Those corrections are constantly being made. So we were very, I don't know if I want to say confused, Phil, but a little put out because we weren't sure what the complaint was really going after.
You'd think if they complain, they should tell you why they're complaining.
Yeah. The OCR suggested we use something called Ames Web, I think. Is that what it was called, Phil? Ames Web. It was not as thorough as the one we purchased, so we continue to use our own. At any rate, we want to be proactive, so we've had a resolution put together, and there are some timelines put into place through that resolution. I'm basically assuring the OCR that we will, continue what we're already doing in many cases, but also then put something in place, some kind of a plan in place that verbally states that so we can assure that any content that we put on there, from this day forward, so to speak, any new content going on is already accessible. There are some things that we are unable to correct. CISA 6 has to correct those, and Phil's been working closely with them as well. So,
See if you don't have anything else to do.
We'll address some training. Anyway, so we've provided you with a resolution, and I would entertain any questions. Phil, I don't know, before they ask questions, if you have anything to add to that?
If you have questions, I might go ahead, but I think you covered it.
Okay.
What's it costing us for the software?
Software costs about $4,400 a year, and it looks at accessibility, it looks at search engine optimization so that people can search our site better. It also looks at grammar errors, spelling errors. Teachers are constantly updating websites. Things constantly happen. I mean, it's constantly changing. And so that it does more than just accessibility.
Yeah.
So, and actually, for $4,500, I think it's quite reasonable cost. So, there are several other ones out there, but the one we use costs about $4,500.
I guess we found it frustrating because we feel like we've been proactive all along and really trying to address those issues. And I've searched a number of websites, both local and in other areas, and they're not all accessible. I don't see closed caption, video. And
Just about every one of the news websites are almost impossible to.
Well, anyway,
to go
it's an issue. As I said, they're getting hundreds of complaints, so we happen to be one of them, and we want to address it. So we're asking for your approval of the resolution so we can move forward.
I would move approval of the resolution as so stated on the sheet.
Second.
Okay, we have motion and a second to approve the recommended resolution agreement as presented to address the Office of Civil Rights complaint case number 05-16-1217. We have a roll call vote, please, Marie.
Mrs. Rael?
Yes.
Mrs. Hett?
Yes.
Mr. Krings?
Yes.
Mrs. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Bembo?
No.
Mrs. Medina?
Yes.
Okay, and the last item is discussion and possible action to approve district bus and transportation contract.
Okay? No, many.
I believe it was 3 times with the contractors, and we had some goals set on what we wanted to accomplish. And one of them, or initially we started out that we didn't want to extend the contract with the idea that If we ever wanted to bid out the contract, if the contract keeps moving ahead, we never get to the end of the contract with the opportunity to bid it out. But in reviewing how they're operating and what they're doing, we wanted to give them the option to actually make some changes to the routing. And by them, we've moved the routing to their responsibility. And now they have the opportunity now to make savings on routes that they identify. And hopefully, if we see the savings, that will result in the savings we're looking for in our contract.
Do we have a
Anyone that was on the
date,
committee
Dan, when we can see how things are going? They're taking over the scheduling of the buses.
Yes, that's correct.
And we want to save money at that particular area, in that particular area. And we'd like to see some progress sometime and see how things are going.
We will be meeting with them sometime probably through this year to see how things are going and see what they might be recommending for route changes for the next school year. And hopefully through that we'll see some savings.
Yeah, we have been adamant about extending that contract because it just seemed like he said, we were never going to be able to do anything with it, but they were just as adamant that they needed that 6-year contract in order to get funding for to purchase new buses or whatever the situation would be. So although we were pretty determined that we didn't want to extend that contract, they were very, very belligerent about, I don't want to say belligerent, but they were just like very firm that they absolutely needed that 6-year contract. So that's why we ended up with what we did.
Well, there was 2 parts to that. One is that we are getting really good price per bus. We're paying about $212 a bus. Looking at all the new contracts, DC Everest's, they're paying $242 a bus. So that's $30 more per day per bus, and we have, 37 buses we use, or 30?
We have close to 50 buses.
Okay.
That we use.
So that'd be $1,500 a day times 180 that we could, by going out to bid, lose, because those are the contracts that won. $242 a bus. Adams Friendship is $239 or something like that, or $238.
The two districts that we use for comparison because of the that are contiguous and close to it, they're actually paying more per bus per day than we do.
Yeah.
So if we are able to save on some routes, we'll see significant savings.
Was there a maximum time that kids could be on the bus?
75 minutes.
Extended that.
We did
It was on the 8th meeting, but I didn't see it come to as the agreement on the 24th.
I think that was the final recommendation.
As far as the secondary time of the bus, that's sort of wedged in between the start of the elementary run. So as far as the secondary, the elementary runs then, and then the other problem is you have to get the buses to the elementary schools by the start time. So as far as the maximum ride times, they're going to be limited.
Well, they could always start earlier. They could always start earlier and have a longer.
It's still going to be
on the front end of the secondary routes, yes, but on the start of the elementary runs, when they're double running, they can't start until they dropped off the secondary students. So
right now, there's no max time for high school students to be on the bus.
No, we didn't have a max time for the secondary students.
The other issue that the bus companies were talking about was the fact that they're having such a difficult time finding drivers. It's the referees, it's the people at the activities, like there just aren't enough bus drivers. And so they run into problems, for example, when the athletic teams have something and then the school has a field trip, and it's been very, very difficult for them. So they did talk to us about some scheduling ideas as far as when we plan the field trips, if it would be if we could plan field trips for when we don't have out-of-town athletic activities and that kind of thing, it would make that easier for them too.
And we'll be working with the athletic department to make sure that we're trying to schedule. When we continue to understand school, we're trying to.
So part of the rationalization of the extension of the contract is that we were asking them to take overall routing, which will incur a cost for them. So basically, they were going to be doing that. We do know that in December, we are talking about phasing out a route already that they could have phased out earlier. But due to some clerical issues, it didn't happen. So, basically a route is $37.5. I mean, that's a bus cost on a route. So those are the things that we're looking at and hoping that, because we are not experts at routing, I mean, and we've admitted that. So will realize a route reduction in December. We're starting after the Christmas break, they're going to have a route.
But who found the
They
potential
did.
for the route? They did?
They did.
Oh, okay, that's good.
And they brought it forward, but we don't need to get in that detail. But
Were you able to get resolution on your camera issue, Dan? No, that was brought up, the charge for the cameras.
we did.
We agreed to continue the current language, at least for the next 2 years.
Part of the deal is that we did not pay for the cameras. So they did pay for the cameras and all installation, and they are paying for any upkeep. So basically, if they have to replace them, it's on them. We are not paying for any cameras. We just pay the $4 per day as per the agreement, and that covers all of the installation, because as they change some of their buses, they have to change the cameras, because as the bus ages and they move the bus, or if they take the bus out of service and do that, they're responsible to change and keep and maintain the maximum cameras that we had agreed to. So.
Well, I know they have other expenses as regulations continue to change
Right.
for buses, which we don't bear the cost of, the additional lights that they have to put on.
The new stoplight system, they had to go to the, was it 8-way now they call it, instead of 4-way?
Yeah.
So you have the yellows first and then the reds. They had to put all of the new regulations on for the big stop on the back of every bus. And I really wish they would do like they do in the south, where they put the stop sign right on the back of the bus too, where the stop sign will come out on the back of the bus like an arm. So it gives them a double reinforcement that you need to stop, because when it's on the side, very few people in the car see that. But that would have been the one to make more sense than the double lights.
There were various frustrations understanding how to save money and what are the details of that. I've always supported using local people, local vendors, when they give us good service, and I think we certainly need to do that. But on the other hand, as I explained several times, we have to cut everywhere, and you have to find some savings with us, because we don't have the money. We just have to do it.
So, yes, they agreed to work with us this next few years. We're still close.
So I would make a motion to approve the district bus transportation contract with Safeway Bus and Lamers Bus Lines effective July 2016 through June 2022.
Second.
Okay, we have motion and second to approve the district bus transportation contracts, the Safeway Bus Transit Incorporated and Lamers Bus Incorporated, effective July 2016 through June 2022. We have a roll call, please.
Mrs. Medina?
Yes.
Mrs. Lee?
Yes.
Mrs. Rael?
Yes.
Mr. Krings?
No.
Mrs. Head?
Yes.
Mr. Bembo?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Thank you, Maureen. And with that, we can look at the calendars, and I see there's a Wasby Regional meeting on the 21st. We have a special Board of Education meeting on the 28th at 4:30 p.m., and then we're on into October. So, with that,
I just want to say that on September 25th, the Middle Wisconsin Chefs Association is having a dinner at Michelle's Restaurant and Catering, and all the proceeds to benefit Our classes at Lincoln High School. It's a 6-course meal. It's a little pricey, but I've been to a couple and it's really good. So if you have nothing to do that night,
With that, we're adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.